Hey fragrance friends! Today I'm super excited to share my top 20 Bath Body Works fragrance releases for 2024. I did do some reorganizing and I'm super glad to have a new setup. Reorganizing did take me having all of my sprays out, so I really got to see everything that I had, and it reminded me how good of a year 2024 really was for Bath Body Works fragrances, so I could not skip this video. Starting with Fresh Amalfi Lemon. I had been waiting for a super fresh yet sweet and sugary lemon fragrance for so long. A lot of their citrusy fragrances are very sharp citrus, and this is so much sweeter. I really love this one. It does have a little bit of a green note to it as well, but it's a very sugary lemon, very sweet. The tartness is very mild, like it's mostly on the sweet lemon side, but the greenness gives it a little bit something extra. It's almost like you get that lemon leaf or something because it has that almost aromatic, like herbal-ish feel. The fragrance notes on this is lemon leaves, chilled spearmint, and cedarwood citrus. That makes a lot of sense because that herbally note is definitely detectable. I really like this one, and I do have a backup of this one. I don't want to run out of this. This is by far one of my favorite lemon fragrances ever, and I'm just super thrilled with this one. The next one is Sunrise Woods. This was a fall release, and this was a very perfumey, very pretty one that I have talked about quite a bit on my channel, but this one has a sweet berry note to it, but it's also extremely woodsy and warm feeling. This one has fragrance notes of creamy sandalwood, sweet berries, and cozy cashmere. That cozy cashmere does give a softness to the fragrance with its woody note. It's just so nice. It feels to me like when you go into Macy's or Bloomingdale's and you're in the perfume section. It just smells like luxury perfumes. It's so nice. I have used up multiple products in this fragrance throughout last year, and I'm still really liking this one. They did come out with this super beautiful perfumey floral called Brightest Bloom. This one had beautiful displays, and a lot of people were comparing this to the Marc Jacob Daisy fragrances. However, I'm not ultra familiar with those, but this is a very beautiful perfumey floral. It does have a high floral note, but there is also a little bit of a powdery note in there to kind of calm it down, give it a little bit of sweetness and elegance. It's really bright and it has almost a crisp, clean note to it. It's really interesting, and this has notes that I just don't have in my other fragrances. This has fragrance notes of Lily of the Valley, that's a hard one to duplicate, Jasmine Sambac, Garden Carnations, that's another one I don't have in any of my other floral fragrances. This also has a fresh cedarwood base to kind of round everything out. I think that's where some of the sweetness is coming from and where some of the brightness is coming from. Where that round out is, that is that cedarwood note. This is a very, very beautiful one, and it's definitely a really perfumey one. I would compare the fragrance of this much more to a perfume than a mist. It's more long lasting, it's a little bit stronger, and it just has those perfumey floral notes. This next one is another one that's kind of in the floral category, but this is very different. This is very warm. It almost has like a sandalwoody, spicy almost feel to it. It kind of reminds me of the Temple when I was young, so I'm not really sure what's in this, but it has that woody, incensey, spicy, aromatic type of feeling, but it is also floral in its own way, a very different floral. Let me get my sniffer on this. It almost feels warm and beachy, but it's not coconut. This is a very hard one to describe, but it is very easy to love. This one has fragrance notes of golden nectar, marigold petals, and sun-soaked sandalwood. So the sun-soaked sandalwood is definitely there. The sandalwood is detectable in a really warm, like deep, smooth, woody way, not smoky at all, kind of on that cool, crisp, woody edge. But the floral in here is very sweet. The marigold is very different because it has kind of a green note that's a little bit spicy. So different. I love this one so much, and it does evoke memories for me. So this is like a nostalgic fragrance, and nothing else in my life has smelled like it. So I did have to get some backups on this because it is a very special fragrance. This next one is actually the first fragrance that made me go gaga for strawberry fragrances. I've always really liked raspberry notes, but strawberry's been very iffy for me. It always smells artificial, and I finally found one that I really loved, and it offset a whole new love for strawberry fragrances. This one is bourbon, strawberry, and vanilla. That is so good. That has a very floral, fruity essence to it. The floral kind of hits you first, and then you get that strawberry with like a hint of vanilla bourbon at the bottom to just round everything out, just make it what it is, and give it kind of a smooth base. Because strawberry can be very tart, it needed that like earthy, sweet, kind of liqueur almost round out to really give this a depth, to really give this a complexity. Like, it's just so different. It really changed the game for strawberry for me, so I definitely have a super appreciation for this one. This one has fragrance notes of bourbon vanilla, garden strawberry, apricot nectar, pink jasmine, and white oak. So the round out and the base kind of comes from that oak. That's where that woodiness comes from. The bourbon just kind of evokes in my mind like bourbon barrel. So then I automatically think wood usually, but this also has a woody note in there to really solidify that. So it is so good. I just really love this one. This next one's kind of interesting. This is Pink Paradise. This one is supposed to be the dupe for Bay of Flor, I think. I think this is supposed to dupe a Sol de Janeiro, but it really doesn't smell like that at all. The Pink Sol de Janeiro is actually my least favorite. It's one of the ones that I don't ever intend on owning, where every other Sol de Janeiro that I've tried, I've really liked, and most of them I do end up getting. This one is so much better than the Sol de Janeiro. This is just so sweet and fruity, and it's got that tropical vibe, but the fruits are everything in this, and it's so sweet and yummy. Okay, I've never said this, but right now this is kind of smelling like Baccarat, which never really has to me. This has always been a very fruit heavy fragrance. Maybe this is macerated a bit. Maybe it's sat long enough and it changed a little bit. Very weird. This has fragrance notes of pink dragon fruit, wild hibiscus, and blush moss. But right now, I smell nothing but saffron, so I don't know. That's very interesting. This is one that I have backups of because I fell head over heels for this. I went crazy for this one. Out of those three, this was the one that really got me. It's so yummy. And I didn't think this had smelled like anything I had smelled before, but now it smells like my Baccarat dupes quite a bit. Very interesting. This next one feels so perfect for winter. This one is Vanilla Romance. This one I've actually compared to Fireside Flurries. I feel like it has a very warm vanilla feeling like that one does. This one, however, has fragrance notes of fresh cardamom, vanilla absolute, and captivating woods. This is definitely a very deep woody vanilla. It is so yummy. That cardamom gives it a little bit of a spiced feel, but in a very aromatic, like herbally way. Very good. I love this. I did already go through a mini bottle of this, but this is just such a warm, inviting vanilla for the cold season. The next two I'm gonna kind of talk about together because these are both re-releases from 2016. However, these are new to my nose in 2024. I wasn't really doing Bath Bodyworks at that time, and these two really blew me away. They both have a really soft, girly feel to them, they are very different. First up, I have Magic in the Air. This one is really nice. This is a really soft, sweet one, but it's very complex. It's kind of powdery. It's a tiny bit fruity, almost has a little bit of a nuttiness to it. And on the dry down, there is a bit of a soft, sweet cashmere floral. This one has fragrance notes of almond flower, sparkling persimmon, white iris, whipped vanilla, bourbon, and fluffy sandalwood. Really, really complex, a lot of really nice fragrance notes, and the way they dance together is in such a soft, inviting, homely way. It's so pretty, and it's perfect for this time of year. Those types of scents that are super cozy, I just feel like it's just really great in the wintertime. With the packaging, you can probably tell this was kind of a winter release, and I really liked it. I haven't worn it much, but I do really enjoy the fragrance. This next one, Snowflakes and Cashmere, also comes from that same line and is also a re-release from 2016. This one kind of has a similar feel to the last one. This one has a soft, sweet, woody, cashmere, airy, light, fresh, kind of powdery, kind of sweet, kind of girly fragrance. This has fragrance notes of vanilla, cashmere, cream, caramel, woods, and frosted clementine. However, it's not super sweet on the caramely note, and it's not super juicy, zesty for the clementine. You get just the lightest sweetness from the clementine, just a kiss of sweetness, and mostly you're getting that cream. It's really light, it's fluffy. You get a woodiness, but it's really soft and elegant. You do get a vanilla, and with the caramel, it feels very ice cream, very creamy, very lactonic, very milky. So I absolutely love this one. Again, not one that I really pulled for yet, but I really like the lactonic scent in this one, and I've really been getting into those milky fragrances here lately. The next one is one that I had been hoping for. This is a blueberry cake scent, is what I was hoping for. This is actually a blueberry bundt cake, to be specific. We did have a blueberry pancake scent at one point. That one had a syrupy mapley note, where this one doesn't. This has a soft, fluffy, honey, sweet, kind of vanilla-ish with that punch of blueberry, like baked blueberry. So very gourmand, very craveable and yummy. This one has fragrance notes of harvest blueberries, honey drizzle, and fluffy cake. So this was exactly what I was hoping for. I have gone through a bottle of this, and I believe this is my last backup, so I will be using this one sparingly. It's definitely one that I hope they bring back sooner rather than later. Same with this next one that is actually from the same fragrance line. These kind of bakery cake scents that did release at the same time. This one is pumpkin swirl cake. I have definitely raved this one on my channel, and this one has totally replaced pumpkin pecan waffles for me. Like, I used to really love that fragrance, but this one changed the game for me. This one has like a sweeter, deeper, butterier, fluffier, vanilla-ier type of fragrance. It's hard to describe, but it's easy to love. Like, this is definitely very buttery, cakey, sweet, but there is like a touch of spice to this. So yummy. That caramely note is super sweet and detectable. That's where the butteriness really comes from. This one does start off with pumpkin spice, caramel toffee, and creamy vanilla. So that toffee is really where you get that buttery note, that caramel toffee, definitely super yummy. And then you do get that spice note, but the caramel and vanilla are super noticeable with like that hint of spice. It's just so perfect. I couldn't get through this video without mentioning at least a few of the Everyday Luxuries line. It would be too easy to just pull those 10 and pull another 10. Like, those are all really good, but I did just pull my very favorites for this video. The first one I have here is Covered in Roses. I am typically not really a rose fragrance girly. Like, there are a few that I really like, but most of them have to be that really sweet tea rose type of rose. I'm very peculiar with my rose fragrances, very specific, and this one is so perfect. There's a vanilla-y goodness here, and there's something else that really adds to this fragrance. I'm not sure what it is, but it's perfect. This has fragrance notes of ruby berries, sugared rosebuds, and blush amber. Okay, so berry and amber really give this something extra. The sweetness of the rose is really amplified and rounded out by that amber in such a beautiful way. It just makes it feel so elegant. And the berries just add to that sweetness factor. It just adds that punch of like tart, sweet, almost like a hint of sourness, but not like yucky sour, like that tartness, you know, that like pack a punch that you get from those sweet, fruity, juicy fragrances. It's just a little bit of that at the edge to just really make this something special. I love this fragrance. I've been through multiple bottles of this. I really hope they don't get rid of this one. It's so good. Now, this fragrance comes out every year. This is a Pride Month fragrance that comes out, and honestly, I've never really loved the fragrance, which is just too bad. But 2024's version was so different, and it's everything I had always wanted from this fragrance. It's like they read my scent note mind and went, that's the one this year. I am thrilled about this. And honestly, I might be one of the only ones, and that's okay. It changes almost every year. A lot of people didn't care for this version. I thought this was so perfect. This felt so unisex. It was so clean, so crisp, but the sagey note that was never really detectable was the front and center. It's very aromatic, very herbal, very green. I love it. Like all the other versions of this felt very citrus heavy and not in the way that I like. I don't really like a tart punch of citrus usually, but this has a really nice, sweet, clean citrus that kind of rounds out with the really herbal, sweet green note that comes from the sage. I just love this one. This one has fragrance notes of rainbow citrus, water, lotus, and wood sage. I just feel like it's very spa-like, very clean, but I feel like this could very easily be worn by anybody, whereas a lot of the other versions of this felt very girly, and I feel like this should be a true unisex fragrance, so I just felt like this was done in the best way it possibly could have been this last year. If you're aware of this fragrance and have tried it in the past, what did you think of this last year's version, this version? It's my favorite over the others. What is your favorite if you have one? I'm really curious because I did see a lot of people not really loving this one. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you've probably been waiting for me to mention this one. I've probably been through the most bottles of this one out of this luxury line. Oh my gosh, I fell for this so hard. This is Viva Vanilla. That just has such a sweet, elegant, deep, moody vanilla. It's almost woody, smoky, but not really. It feels very woody to me, but it's just so sweet and alluring. It's so cozy. Like, this is a perfect one for winter or just bedtime in general. There's something really, like, intoxicating about this one. Like, the vanilla is just so sweet and warm. It's really hard to describe. This one has fragrance notes of rich plum, glowing amber, and addictive vanilla. Addictive being the main word here. This is definitely a super addictive fragrance. Again, I've been through multiple bottles of this, and it still has the same allure as when I first found it. It's just so special in my vanillas. I feel like the glowing amber really gives something sophisticated and complex to this fragrance. Rich plum is definitely another interesting one. It's not a very fruity, juicy type of fragrance. It's just very interesting. I love it. This next one screams luxury. I love how bright and fresh this one is. There's something really smooth about this, yet there's something really deep. And on the end, there's almost like a sour tartness. It's just really good. Really niche smelling, honestly. It doesn't smell like anything you would find in a perfume section of a store or anything like that. It just smells very unattainable. It smells very rich. It smells very luxurious. One of my favorites this year, definitely. It smells clean. It smells airy. It smells kind of aquatic. It smells kind of sharp. It's invigorating. I love it. This one has fragrance notes of pear blossoms, ivory gardenia, and satin woods. It smells floral, but not a typical floral at all. The way that it rounds out, again, very sharp for a floral. That woody note gives it something a little bit different than the other fragrances that have woody notes in them. I feel like it's a driftwoody, like woody aquatic kind of fragrance. It's very different. It almost has a soapy smell too because it has like a really clean, fresh vibe. It's so hard to describe, but so easy to love. This one is Dressed in White. I did mention how much I've been loving milky fragrances. Well, of course I love Milk by Bath Body Works. This one is definitely one of my top faves of this year. This one is just like pure lactonic, pure cream, pure milk, pure everything you want in this type of fragrance. This one does have fragrance notes of sugared oats, whipped milk for a creamy, cozy scent. It's perfect. I love it very much, and it might be one of the reasons I'm not really wearing this beautiful one, Snowflakes and Cashmere, because I've just been going for the straight milk rather than milky blends. So once I found this, a lot of my other mists stopped getting as much attention. I've been through multiple bottles of this. I absolutely love this. I have multiple bottles of this for backups because I know it won't last forever, but it is one of the most affordable and beautiful at the same time milk fragrances that I have found yet, and I just absolutely adore this one. So yeah, the milk one I have really loved and I've used up multiple products of already. This next one I actually had to double check that it came out this last year. I thought this might be a re-release, but this one came out last year. This one is one I wouldn't ever expect myself to pick up. I'm not a pineapple fragrance girly. I am very particular about my pineapple flavoring, even. Like, I like raw pineapple, just pure pineapple. That's it. But a lot of those pina colada candies and things, I can't do it. Like, a lot of pineapple fragrance or flavor is very artificial, and I just don't love it. But this smells so fruity, juicy, lovely. This is Rio Pineapple Mango. So there is that juicy, fruity mango note in there as well. And I love Bath and Body Works mango fragrances. I wasn't sure if I was going to like this one. And I honestly passed on it at first just because I hadn't had the best fragrance experience with pineapple fragrances so far. But this one is so good. Like, I have been through a bottle of this. I'm pretty sure I'm almost through this bottle, and I do have a backup just in case they don't bring it back for a while because they tend to do that. And this one is actually really nice. It is super fruity, super tropical. That's very straightforward, and that's really all there is going on for it. I do feel like maybe a woody note might be there to round everything out, but this one has fragrance notes of fresh pineapple juice, mango, and vine ripened raspberry. So it is very fruity, very juicy, very fresh. I love it. Another fragrance that I'm kind of iffy on, but I had been waiting for a good one, was cherry. We did get a few cherry fragrances from Bath & Body Works this year, but my very favorite is Sweetheart Cherry. It's another one that I have already finished a bottle of, and this is my second bottle. This is a very interesting cherry fragrance. It does have a little bit of a nuttiness to it. It does have a little bit of a vanilla to it, and it really brings it all together for me. It's just super sweet and craveable, but the cherry on this is very deep, almost feeling like a black cherry. But it's very sweet, it's very craveable. That nutty note, again, just rounds it all out with that sweet, milky fragrance. This one has fragrance notes of wild cherry, crushed pistachio, and whipped vanilla. So I feel like this is a masterfully done cherry. I just really, really have fallen for this one. I do have another piece of the Everyday Luxuries line here. This one is Petal Parade. People were saying that this is a Good Girl by Carolina Herrera dupe, and some people say this is a Prada Paradox dupe. While I love both fragrances, I do feel like this smells like both fragrances, even though those fragrances smell nothing alike. So yeah, this is a really beautiful one. It is a more floral type of fragrance, but it is very perfumey, very girly, very elegant. It's a perfect scent for going out but not being overwhelming, yet still being noticeable. It is a beautiful fragrance. It does have fragrance notes of neroli petals, orange flower, and white woods. The woods is definitely there to round everything out, but it's in a very soft, sweet way. The florals in this do not feel like an ultra white floral. It doesn't feel like an ultra pink floral. This feels like kind of a toned down, sweetened floral. And last but not least, I have apple number 3. This one is just so good. Like Bath and Body Works, for me, most fragrances that have apple in them, I'm drawn to them. They're really nice. They do an apple fragrance really well. This one is from that single note line where they just have the one thing. Like there is this lavender one, there's also a musk one. While I do love every single one of them, this one's definitely my favorite. This has a sweet, crisp, fruity, aquatic, like almost ozonic, almost like atmospheric, right? Where you're getting the airiness, but you're also getting aquaticness, almost like from a fog or a rain. It's very different. Like it's a very specific aquatic fragrance in that undertone. It's so pretty. It's very fresh. The crisp fruitiness from the apple that I expect from Bath and Body Works is definitely there. And there's also like a tart, sweet, fruity, juicy accompanying inside of here. It might be like a kiwi strawberry or something. This one has fragrance notes of apple, strawberry, and rain. That makes sense because that's where I'm getting that almost outside, watery airiness from. It's so good. It's just so different. Like, again, I have a lot of their appley fragrances. I'm really drawn to them. Um, the champagne apple honey right here, this guy, is one of my very favorites. Like, I really like their apple fragrances. I feel like they really do them well. This one, super different, yet everything you would want from a Bath & Body Works apple fragrance. Love this guy. But that has been my top 20 of 2024, my favorite Bath & Body Works releases of the year. If you've been shopping Bath & Body Works, are there any fragrances that you really loved this last year? I'd love to hear about it down in the comments. I just love discussing fragrances. They're just really transportive, and I love how different people interpret different fragrances. It's just a really fun experience. So I figured I would share my faves of the year and maybe ask you about yours. But that kind of wraps it up for this one, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye for now.